recording so that we can have something to refer back to. And I'm quickly going to go through this because my battery is low. Like I was explaining, I've just finished. I just started with a master's class from 9 to about 10:45, and I'm here in the village. We don't have power. We rely on solar, and where I sit, where I can pick network, I don't have a power source. So I'll quickly try to go through this. Now, to solve your research problem, you need a research method, okay? Some of you tried to pull out research methods, but I had remember in the concept paper I said I will not ask you for that because we hadn't yet covered it. Now there are a number of research methods that exist in research methodology overall, but however you can't use all of them. Yes, you can't use all of them. This slide is showing you just some of those methods. Just some of those methods. Let me sorry, let me just get a pen out here, which I'll use. This slide is giving general methods that exist. The first one, experiment, most of us have heard about it. It includes, it's very much a quantitative research method where a researcher picks variables and is going to test them. Yeah, so you can do lab tests for something like this. So, for example, for IT students, someone may say, I can't do lab tests to test functionality of my system that I have created, and then I report back on my findings. So something like that, but most of us want to do this kind of research. Okay. So you can go back to the video. Another method is case study. So here is when we try to study a phenomena within its context. A phenomena within its context. Now, I'll give an example. Some of you might say, a website helps a lot in advertising a school to the rest of the world. Therefore, I want to design a website for a certain school. Now, what you're doing is essentially you're implying that you want to use a case study, strategy, or method, because you want to study the context of the school. What do they want to advertise? What do they want to report about themselves? And then you design that website based on this case study. Or somebody might say, I want to design a student information system for a university. And then you might give motivation. You say the student information system really helps to store and manipulate information about students, and therefore helps management of student issues better, managing their results, managing their timetable, and so on and so forth. And then you say, I'm going to pick the case of Uganda Matters University, okay, as a case where I'm going to study the processes, the business processes that are necessary to build a student information system. Okay, so there you're using a case study strategy. Do I have any questions so far? Any thoughts on this? Do we have any question on this?
No.
No. Do you understand or do you don't understand? I mean, when everyone is quiet, there is a feeling that maybe you haven't understood.
We have understood.
Okay, so yeah, so that is a case study strategy. So essentially, this is when we use case study research, it's usually considered qualitative research. And most of you, I know, will use the case study strategy when you're doing your projects. Yes, that one I know most of you are going to use. Somebody's here, Birungi, said, I haven't understood so well. Okay. Viola, what have you not understood? Just explain to me what it is that is confusing. Just enough, in whichever way you can explain. Viola, if you could just tell us, explain. It's, don't worry, there's no question that you'll ask that doesn't make sense. You said you haven't understood well the case study itself. What do you mean? You haven't understood the strategy? You're saying how could it be used? Okay. Now, let me start with your problem state. Remember, you in your first assignment, you were all doing, you are formulating your problems and coming up with research objectives. Not so. I'm going to ask Viola.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask Viola specifically. What was your research problem and what was your research objective in your group? Viola, what was the research problem? What was your research problem and research objective for your group? Just tell us so that I can bring in the case study strategy and how it can be used to achieve your objective. So your problem was poor maternity health care, okay? So how were you supposed to help the poor maternity health care? What area were you coming in to help? Is it in communication? Is it that there is a problem with communication between the expectant mothers and the health facility? Is it sorry, Viola, your network.
Our main objective was to see how we can engage me now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was saying our major objective was to see that the IT that we are doing, like of providing people with more diverse information wherever to inform the mothers what they're supposed to be doing, especially because many of them are ignorant of what they're supposed to do at the different levels of the pregnancies, what they're supposed to eat, what they're not supposed to eat, how they're supposed to treat their lives, that they can have better maternity experiences.
Okay, so that means you want to provide information. How do you want to provide this information? Do you want to provide it via mobile phone? What is it?
Basically, we want to use an app.
A mobile app. A mobile
An
app.
app.
Is it a mobile
That
app?
anyone, yes, mobile app.
Okay. So your objective.
Yes, a mobile application.
So your objective is to design and implement a mobile application that provides maternal health care information to expectant mothers. That is your objective.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's how it should be stated.
Major objective.
Yeah, so that is your major objective. And if you state it like that, somebody knows this group of students or this student is going to develop a mobile application. Don't tell people about, by telling people about women not having this information, so on and so forth. That should be in your background. Yeah. And then in your problem statement, then your objective, when you state your objective, you're saying, our objective is to design and implement a mobile application. Viola and group mates, have you understood that?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Now, also for the rest of you,
that is the picture. Other objective with.
Pardon? Somebody has put a comment. Okay, Andrea says yes. Now, also for the others, this is also a key point. For IT, you must be very specific. You must say, I'm designing and implementing this for this purpose. I'm designing and implement. That should be your major objective as undergraduates. That should be your underlying objective. Okay, now, Viola, let's come now to the strategy of how you're going to do this. How are you going to do this? The first thing, Viola and group mates, and all others, listen. I hope you're listening. The first thing you need to do is for you to be able to design that that application, that mobile application. You need to study the processes. You need to study where this information comes from, and then where it is going, what this information is. Yeah, you need to study what this information is. Do you see these questions? What this information is. How is it going to, what is the format? How is it going to be sent? Why is it being sent? Those are questions that you're asking. So for you to be able to find out that, Viola, you as an IT student, you don't know this information. Am I right? Viola and everyone else, do you understand that Viola and her team, your IT students, you don't know? Yes, Viola? Yeah, so now you, Viola, you and your group mates and others, you are IT students, you're not healthcare workers, not so. Not so, Viola.
Yes.
Yeah, so in other words, you people are IT students, you're not healthcare workers. So for you to be able to design this application, you actually need to go to a healthcare facility. Maybe you say we are going to go to Nkozi Hospital, or we say we are going to go to Nsambia Hospital, Mengo Hospital. Whichever it is, you go to a healthcare facility which deals with healthcare with expectant mothers. So that healthcare facility becomes your case study. Have you understood so far? Have you understood so far? Before, for you to begin to design this application, you first go to a case study so you can understand those things that will help you make or design that mHealth application. So that health facility, whether it is in Nkozi Hospital or let us say Masaka Regional Hospital or whatever it is, that becomes your case study. For another group, let us say there are those who are looking at e-learning. There was a group, I think, by Opio Stephen, who said for them, they want to develop an e-learning application. So for you to develop it, you need a case study for which you're going to develop, where you're going to go and study why an e-learning, why e-learning, what is involved in e-learning, how is it done, why is it done this way, so that you then use that information to develop the e-learning platform. Okay? So for example, those who developed Moodle, they went and studied the teaching and learning processes. They first of all learned that they are students and they are teachers. They learned that a student sets, a teacher sets assignments. A teacher gives notes. A teacher may pre-record a video. A teacher will give tests. And when they did that, they developed all the functionality that a teacher would do. Then they said, what does a student do? A student attends a lecture. A student asks questions. So let's put a discussion forum. A student may want to talk one-on-one with a teacher. Let's put a chat room. A student will do an assignment. So let's put this, give the student the functionality of seeing the assignment and submitting. A student will view content, whether it's video or whatever it is. So they put it in their system. But they went back and studied school settings, either in a university or a secondary school. They studied that setting. So the university, the school becomes a case study. Okay? So far, are we together? So far, is this making sense, or are we lost anywhere? So I hope it is okay. So now what a researcher then does is that they go into the case study as they are trying to answer these questions, what, why, and how. They submit questionnaires, they interview, they observe, they'll get documentation. So for example, for you, Viola, in your group, you would say, let's go to a health facility. We see what information is given. They may have documentation. They may have documentation on at what intervals do they provide this information. Maybe when a woman is in her first trimester, she needs to know ABCD. And your mobile application is set that it allows a woman to put in her first trimester, she receives this information. In her second trimester, those who, okay, I've never given birth, but some of you may, I remember some of you are saying you have families, so some people may have children, and they are aware of some of these things, that there is first trimester, second trimester, and so on and so forth. I remember my sister, when she was expecting, there was certain information she was accessing, what she should be doing now, what is happening to the baby in the womb, and things like that. So that would be information you get to inform the mother that now you've reached this stage, you need to go for your maybe tetanus check. At this stage, you're supposed to check if you have HIV or anything like that. So the different things a mother needs to go through. So you would get this information, because that information or that process, you would then apply it to your mobile application. You design your mobile application based on the information you would have gotten from the case study. Are we okay so far? Have we understood? Okay. Is it okay with everyone else? Has everyone else understood? Okay, that is good. Okay. Okay, so let's move to the next. I'm not going to go through all of the methods because some are not relevant. Now, for example, case study is relevant to us. Grounded theory is not relevant. It's it's a qualitative method, but it's normally for those who are coming up with new theory. Ethnography, you most likely will not use it unless when you come to masters and I'm teaching you, I will focus on this method, but I won't. Action research, yes, it's possible. I actually gave you an article which we wanted to read through, but you most likely also will not use this. Now, what will you use? You will use design science. Now, I think there's something I need to improve on this. I think I had a better demonstration for my master's group. So if you just excuse me for a minute, I just want to let me first keep that. I just want to open my slides for masters, and I show you something else. Where was that? It was introduction. Just give me a minute. I take you through research methods here. This one may be a bit better, a better explanation for design science. Now, design science, there's a comment here, I'm hoping. Okay. Now, design science is a method which was developed specifically for IT, IS, ICT researchers. Okay, specifically, and it is the intention is for those who are doing, let me just see if I can get something here, those who are building innovative artifacts, which is something IS and IT students do. Not so. We build applications like what Viola is, the example Viola gives of building a mobile app with the intention of improving communication between healthcare workers and antenatal and expectant mothers. Not so. Isn't that an innovation? Would put that in this category of building an innovative artifact. So far, have you understood me there?
Yes.
Yes. So IT
No,
students, yeah. So IT students build artifacts. Now, design science in particular focuses on building artifacts, producing research which is building artifacts. Now, as undergraduates, you won't be expected to go as far as the design science research does, but here's what it does. You start by identifying a problem or motivation, which is what Viola's group did. That there is an information gap between health workers and expectant mothers. The same thing with the Opio Stevens group, which says there are e-learning applications, but most likely for our context, they are not answering our problem. So that is the identified problem and motivation. So what then do? They come up with they define an objective. Now, remember, Viola, I emphasized saying your objective is to design and implement a mobile application. Just like Opio Stevens group, theirs is to design and implement an e-learning platform or application. For those who are doing cybersecurity, maybe it was to design and implement a cybersecurity defense mechanism, maybe for database or web application, whatever it is. Whatever it is, your objective is to design and implement a solution, some kind of solution for your problem. Have you understood me so far?
Yes.
Everyone else, I hope you have understood, because when people keep quiet, I feel they have not understood and they keep quiet. So I hope you have. So then the person then goes ahead to design and develop. So now, in the case of Viola, their overall objective would be to design and implement an application. Then they would have underneath their specific objectives. The first specific objective is to where you go into the case study and ask. You want to understand. You want to determine what information is needed by an expectant mother, when it is needed, and how it is needed. Yeah, that would be your first objective when you go and study in the case study. That would be your first objective. The second objective would be to design the application. The third objective would be to test the application. This would be the design and development stage. Now, the next stage would be to demonstrate it. You would demonstrate this through the report. For IT students, you wouldn't go as far as evaluate. For bachelors, you most likely won't reach this stage of evaluation. You would probably do that at master's level. But at undergraduate level, we don't expect you to reach that far. But you would demonstrate and then communicate through your final report. So far, am I clear?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So what we would see in your first chapter, you would identify your problem. If you can recall back, give me a minute, please give me a minute. Sorry, somebody was calling me and I'm using the phone as my access point. Sorry about that. So now, if you recall from our last lecture, when we talked about the proposal, your first chapter, even your concept paper, this is where you identify your problem and define your objective and solution. Okay, that is your first chapter. Your second chapter, you do the literature review. Your third chapter, you talk about the methodology. This is where you now have talked about that you used case study strategy, you used design science, and then you used the tools you used when you went to the case study. You used interviews, you observed documentation, you observed business processes. Then to develop the system, you'd say you used this method. There are different methods for developing systems, not so? I'm sure you studied those. Yes, so you'd state this in your methodology chapter. That this is I use the system development life cycle, whatever it is, or there are different ones, I can't remember them. Then in your chapter 4, after you've actually gone to the field, this is where you show your design process, that this is how you designed. You show your design diagrams. This is the logical, is it the, I forget them. The system design, the database design, whatever it is you're doing to design your solution. And then eventually you show pictures of your system. At a certain point, you give a demonstration to your supervisor and a panel. And then then your final chapter is conclusion, your conclusions. Basically, you're seeing that you're going through the design science methodology. Okay? Have we understood so far? Yes, Barbara says no. You haven't understood. Barbara, can you explain what you have not understood?
Madam, I have been facing the problem of network. I'm on and off.
Okay, okay. Now, Barbara, if I explain now, is your network stable or you'd rather rely on the recording?
Explain, Madam. I have just joined now from
I
the research method.
We have been through case study, we have been through, do you want me to repeat that? Barbara, I just want to, Barbara, I just want to let you know, one, I warned everyone that I have very low battery because I taught from 9 to...
If it is possible, you can repeat.
Pardon? Sorry, Barbara.
If it is impossible, you can repeat.
Okay.
That
I'll
if it
try
is
to repeat
impossible, you can repeat.
I'll try to repeat some things. Just try. But however, I want that I have extremely low battery. So now, Barbara, I was going back through the research methods class, and I was explaining methods that are particular that you as IT students, you're going to use. So let me first keep. The first thing, let me use this one. They might also have a case study. No, let me use the previous. Barbara, we talked about methods that are unique to IT students. And specifically, I brought out the example of Viola's group. Each one of you went and identified a problem. And after you identified that problem, you went about to point out what you intend to do in your project. Particularly for Viola's group, they pointed out that there is poor health care for maternity, for expectant mothers. And the main problem they saw was for them to have the right information at the right time during their pregnancy. So their objective is to develop an mHealth application which provides an expectant mother the necessary information at the right time. Okay, Barbara, so far, have you had that example? Hello, Barbara? Is Barbara still with us? My battery is warning. My suggestion, Barbara, is that I'm going to provide a recording of this. So let me not repeat this, otherwise even I will not get the video at the end. I would suggest we stop here for now. Now, for everyone, the key points I wanted to get for you is for you to understand those two methods, case study and design science, because those are two key research methods that you will need. Okay? Has everyone understood?
Yes.
Okay, so now so when we have our lecture on Friday, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do on Friday is that I'll take us through a discussion. We shall have our lecture, our final lecture, but I'm going to take us through a discussion to see with each group that you see how to apply this in each section. Okay? And for your final exam, I'll expect you to point out something like this. where your research strategy comes in, where you define it and then you say, this is how I'm going to do this, this is how I'm going to do this. Okay? Is that okay with everyone? Those two
Yes.
research methods are what I wanted you to listen to. Go back and listen to these videos. I'm going to upload this one as well, plus the one we had before. I sent it to ICT. They've not yet given me a link. I'm going to upload them on Moodle. Go back and listen to them. Barbara in particular, also please listen to these these recordings and the pre-recorded videos. Please listen to them. On Thursday, we shall have a discussion on this to make sure that everyone has understood it. Okay? Are we clear so far?
Yes.
Okay. So now let me stop the lecture here before the battery embarrasses me.